Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Mustard Plug trumpeter Brandon Jenison to the podcast. Mustard Plug's new album, Where Did All My Friends Go?, comes out next Friday, September 8th on Bad Time Records. Brandon talks about getting into skateboarding, learning about the ska scene, ska's moment of popularity and people's perception of the scene, connecting with the scene's younger acts, having longevity as a band, and so much more. It was so much fun getting to chat with Brandon, and I love the new Mustard Plug record. Check it out. If you love the show and have a friend who would dig it, make sure you share an episode or two. Word of mouth is how this grows. Make sure you're subscribed on your podcast platform of choice and don't miss a single episode. Make sure you check out the links in the show notes. There you'll find the mailing list, Patreon, and Discord. Click a link and come hang out. Enjoy today's chat with Brandon Jenison from Mustard Plug.
It's going well. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for doing this tonight.
Right on.
Awesome. It's awesome. How are things? You're still up in Grand Rapids area?
Yeah, a little busy right now. This is bedtime, so I have 3 kids. This is that time of day where it's like little nuts, but it's all working out. Yeah.
I put them to bed. I told my daughter, I'm like, I'm going to be on a call. You cannot call for me.
Yeah. And I've got 3 under 10 years old, so it's it gets loud here.
Oh yeah, I got 2, and I imagine 3 is a little extra loud. So
multiples, man.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. The weather's pretty decent here. We're just chilling.
Nice.
Awesome,
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Let's have a. We don't have to have a long chat, but let's go back in time. You grew up in Grand Rapids.
I did, yeah. In suburbs, basically, just 15 minutes away from downtown.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was growing up like?
Just kind of small town suburb stuff. I was like a little skater kid and played in the marching band, and I met the guy that got me in Mustard Plug. I met at church. Really, he was like other like punker skater dude. And was a friend of the family's, and he played saxophone at like a rival school. Nice. And then he saw me later in college and was like, "Hey, you still play your horn? We need some horn players." And so, I joined in '95. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What came first, playing trumpet or skateboarding?
The trumpet. Yeah. Well, maybe right around the same time, because it started in 5th grade. It would have been about 10. I don't think I started skating until I was about 12.
Nice.
Yes.
I played trombone in 4th and 5th grade, and I was rubbish. And I was like, I'm gonna play guitar instead.
yeah, for sure.
That went better.
It was. I wanted to play the sax, because when I growing up when I did, I'm born in the '70s, but a child of the '80s. It was like every song on the radio had a cool sax.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like. I went in the room and they're like, "Yeah, your mouth isn't shaped like for the mouthpiece. Like, we think you should play this cornet or trumpet, thing first." And I was like, "All right," but somebody must have known what they were talking about, because
it stuck.
Here I am at 50 years old. So
yeah. What got you into skateboarding?
I think there was a neighbor kid that came home one summer with a board, and this is back in like 85, 86 or something like that. So. He, we weren't like best friends or anything. It was just like one of these. I saw him riding up and down the street, and I thought, that's cool. I didn't know skateboards were that big. My idea of skateboards was like tiny little plastic, banana board things. But then, all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh yeah, there's a shop. You can go and buy all this stuff." It didn't take real long before I was fully immersed and and then that's what led to punk rock and stuff like that too. You know, buying Thrasher magazine and trying to order music out of the back of it, or getting some, you know, SST ad or something.
Yeah. As you're discovering punk in Grand Rapids, was there's like a good local scene?
Not that I knew of. There were some things going on, but like, you know, like I said, I grew up in the suburbs, so like you had to like search that stuff out, you know, as far as that music. And like there's a lot of tape trading. I remember like people, you know, like I had just a bunch of duped tapes before I ever went out and bought like the actual music, because it's like, I don't know who the Cramps are. Yes, give it to me. You know, just whatever, Dead Kennedys, that kind of stuff. I didn't really learn about the music scene in general until maybe later college, high school. You know, like you'd hear about a punk show that was at like a VFW hall or something. It's like, I don't know if my mom will let me drive down there, you know?
So was your whole music career like through high school, just like marching band and at school?
Yeah, basically marching band, jazz band, whatever, you know, extracurricular, symphonic band. You know, it was just kind of the one major thing that I always did. My parents paid for private lessons and things like that, you know? So yeah, I did play soccer like the last couple of years of high school, but it wasn't like I was in good shape, but I wasn't like a really great player. You're running around all the time, man. You're in really good shape. Not very healthy.
Translates to when you're on stage jumping around a show, right? Like,
not much has changed as far as that goes. It just takes a lot more and a little bit tougher to recover in the next day.
That's funny. When did like ska enter the picture for you? Did you know about ska before joining Mustard Plug? And like this, I mean, it was still very tiny at that point,
Vaguely. You know, I was definitely aware of bands like Fishbone and the Boss Tones. And then the stuff of my youth that I didn't really know was two-tone ska, like, you know, Madness and those and Specials and English Beat and stuff that were on the radio at that time, and, you know, had videos on MTV. But I didn't know what the genre was, whatever. Exactly. So yeah, it was I would say like early college. I had a close friend that was kind of still a super punk rocker. Like when I was trying to like assimilate to college life, you know, like maybe I tried to wear a costume there and go to school for a little while, and you know, it didn't really work out. But he was one punker dude. I was like, oh, I can relate to this guy, and it turned me on to music that was happening. I remember him talking about Op Ivy, and was like, oh, this is cool. And it wasn't too long after that before it was, you know, Rancid. By that time already, they had kind of already run their course and were turning into a different band. But I got a real crash course as soon as I joined Mustard Plug. Like Dave was like, here's a bunch of CDs that you should listen to, and these are bands and a lot of compilations, a lot of Moon Ska comps and Jump Up and those kind of things. So it's like all the Midwest scene and the East Coast scene, and learning about all this kind of stuff. The first tour I did was 6 weeks long, and I think we played with every ska band that did at the time. So it's like, whatever state you're in, it's like you can play with, you know, 3 or 4 bands.
Did you connect with the music and the scene like instantly, or were you just like, this is cool?
I mean, it made sense to me. I never thought that I could play the trumpet in a rock band, you know. My sort of college experience, like I had some people wanted me to continue and do marching band in college, and I just wasn't really into it. I went to school for painting, for art, and I felt like I played this instrument to death for like 8 years, and I just wanted to like take a break. And then just after a couple of years of school, I was kind of getting to a crossroads or a standstill there, and ran into Craig and Dave at the bar, and hadn't seen them in a while. He's like, yeah, you should play, because we just lost our horn players this summer after a tour. So we're trying to decide if we're going to keep doing this with horns or without. There was a little, time before we put out Evildoers Beware, where they had about 5 or 6 songs written, and then I joined, and then we wrote another 6 songs and recorded that. where it started to transition from the Big Daddy Multitude sound to a little bit of a heavier guitar sound and stuff. I mean, it's with Bill Stevenson and Stefan producing those things, out at the blast room. It was like, it just came off a little bit punker.
Yeah. For sure. When you joined the band, you're coming into a band called Mustard Plug. Are you just like, is this the scene, this wacky silliness?
Yeah, right. So I knew about the band for 3 years just because, like I said, I was friends with Craig in high school, and I was aware of what he was doing. I'd see the stuff in the local paper, and my friends, I think my friends dragged me to go see him once when we were in college or something, or we had them play at a party. I don't know. Anyways, it was one of those deals where, I never thought I'd be in a band. Like, wow, a friend of mine wants me to try out for their band. All right, we'll give it a whirl, and it just made sense. I went and saw him live about 2 weeks before I practiced with him, and because Dave was like, "Hey, we're doing this underground show in town, blah blah blah." And I show up, and there's about 300 sweaty kids in a basement going ape shit, and I looked at my girlfriend at the time, who was about to get her PA degree and go, our careers were kind of going in different directions. I looked at her and I was like, I want to do this. And she's like, okay. Needless to say, it didn't last. But yeah, here we are.
How'd you guys get connected with Hopeless Records?
After we recorded Evildoers, the same time that we were in the studio, the Descendants were making their Everything Sucks album. And so it was just kind of cool. We actually got to hear those songs before a lot of people knew what was even going on. The guy that was repping them for Epitaph wanted to shop us around. And he was really pushing us with Brett and then with Tim before he started Hellcat. And so we met with some of these people. But Dave, our singer, was like, look, we're playing these shows with the Descendants at the Whiskey. And he sent out all these guest list things to Hopeless, Fearless, or I don't know, any record label, at the time that was cool. I'm like, at the very least, you can see the Descendants for free. But hey, come check out our band and whatever. Yeah. And we met the Hopeless guys that night after talking to Tim for a while too with Brett Gurewitz. And we were just like, I don't know, this is weird. Blink-182 was on that show too. So it was us, Blink, and Descendants. So it was like a really weird time. And, 97, 98, or no, 97, I think it was. But the Hopeless guys were just really down to earth and really cool and honest and, straight up with us. And Lewis, we would just go stay at Lewis's house, roll through town when you stay at your house. Oh, okay, sure. Nice. Super, super good people. And that was a tiny little label at the time. Really, they really only had 5 or 6 bands, something like that. So it's a little different now.
Yeah.
But, that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. They say a rising tide lifts all ships. As ska has this wave, the briefest wave of popularity where Boss Tones and Fish are huge, and it's on soundtracks, and No Doubt is blowing up, kind of post ska, but they're still getting wrapped in that scene. Did you guys feel that effect of just riding this wave of even if there were the big bands and then there's all these bands down here, but did it help raise it up to where it's
yeah, I mean, obviously the awareness, I think on a national level at that time, especially in 97, a lot of even bands like Real Big Fish, and they're getting kind of gobbled up by MTV and put on the radio and stuff. That can't help but bring more awareness to everybody in general or whatever. But I think we had a really tight subgenre scene already. So you kind of knew a lot of people, maybe not maybe not super tight with bigger, super huge bands, but everybody on our level. I think it helped. I mean, there was a year or so too there where I think we had stars in our eyes. We thought like, hey, let's put all our chips in and see what happens, and we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
but it's also interesting to like just be in a band for this long and make 6-7 albums and be a part of all that. Like that's really what I love in general, just the fact that we've been allowed to keep making music and going out and playing live, and regardless of how big it gets. I mean, sure, I would like for anybody and everybody to hear it.
Yeah.
Or like whatever, but I think Mustard Plug knows exactly who they are, and maybe that's what comes across. It's there's no bullshit.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, is it because you have bands like just named Mustard Plug and Skank and Pickle and shit like that?
Right.
That people Is that where people are like, ska is unserious, like music for 12-year-olds? I think there's something else.
I think in the 90s there was a bit of that because especially in the mid 90s where like anything goes. The music really changed, I think, over that maybe decade in a lot of weird ways. I know when I first joined the band, I was like a grandparent or something. I was like, I joined this band. What's the name? I said Mustard Plug, and they were like, what is that? But it's also in an era of like weird names in general, like bands like Ween or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just there are a lot of strange band names. I think people's perception and stuff, maybe, especially when it got on MTV a little bit, there was a little cornball factor to certain things. I don't know. I'm not going to blame it on anyone or any one band or whatever, but there were definitely some that pushed that cheese level further than others, and then like we're way authentic. You get the opposite end of the spectrum, like, well, these guys aren't a part of the scene because they're not authentic. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we kind of sit right in the middle, just like we're in the middle of each coast. We kind of like Mustard Plug just kind of happily resides in the neutral zone.
What has kept you guys going for? I mean, we're like a 3-decade career as a band, and like putting out new music here in 2023. Like, and ska bands, you got more musicians than your average band, right? Like, what keeps like that longevity? Like, so many bands in the scene have just like kept going and plugging ahead. Is it just like?
I can't put a complete finger on it, as far as that goes. I think that everybody in this band just really enjoys playing music together. Yeah. And, we've been allowed to do a lot of pretty amazing things as far as travel goes, and recording with your punk rock idols and all that kind of stuff, primarily, when it comes to like songwriting and stuff, it takes us a while to get a record out. Because it's not like we get comfortable, but we have so much else going on in everybody's lives, and choreographing 6 or more people to do these things, even just to practice or try to work something out, can be a chore. The older we get, and people have kids and full-time jobs and everything else,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it's a love for what we get to do. I don't think I ever, even if I have a quote unquote bad show, I don't think I ever have had a feeling like, man, I don't want to do this anymore.
Do you think that's something like inherent in ska? Like the music itself is like pretty joyful, where it's not like, you're not like a angry band, like feel like
right
all the time, every night, just like, I'm done with this. Like
there's a general vibe of joy.
Right. Merry man.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to when you got a bunch of punchy brass stuff going, but I love these guys like a family, and it's really, I've been doing this for over half my life now at this point.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, especially after, I won't dwell on this, but after the COVID situation and not being allowed to play for 16 to 18 months or whatever it was, that's when I really realized, like, man, if they let us do this again, it's like, let's let's really go for it. And, we spent like a good 3 years writing this music and recording this new record. So I'm stoked for September when this comes out. I love it. I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah. So, oh, it's incredible. The moment it hit my inbox, I was like, oh, I'm listening to this right now. Oh, everything else I'm doing stops. I got to listen to new Mustard Plug. And the new record's incredible. So. Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. We're very happy. And I think that's what we all just kind of decided. And this is the one thing that, you have, let's say, work-life balance or whatever, that kind of thing. This is really, I'm a cook, I don't make a ton of money, my full-time job, but that's also very fulfilling. But with a band, it's like a third of my income now. And we do all right for it. It's in my turn, my idea, it's successful in my turn. So it's,
Yeah. You talked about like COVID being the catalyst for this record because it's been like 2014 was your 7th full length. Was there just like, all right, people got families, married, we got kids. Like, was there ever a thought that like, okay, maybe the band will just like peter out?
Yeah. I mean, I think for us guys that started, myself and the trombone player, we started our families a little bit later in life. Like Dave had his kids pretty early. And the rest of the guys don't have children, but I do remember at a point, especially after my second child, where it was like, we're not like treading water, but we're kind of going out and doing the same sort of tour routes each year because it's reliable and we're hitting a lot of cool stuff. And then we had a little bit of like lineup changes. Our bass player at the time, Rick Johnson, is also doing front of house sound for bands like Streetlight Manifesto and Jeff Rosenstock. And that's becoming a more lucrative and a better option for him as a touring musician to do that kind of stuff. I understood.
Yeah.
And, and maybe even got bored playing with us. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Everything's cool. There's no bad blood or anything. But we had been using our friend Greg as his fill-in. And then around COVID time, just like kind of just slid him in. And Rick was like, I don't have time to write stuff. And so in come Greg. And then a lot of times with our music, like Colin writes a lot of bare bones stuff, and then put stuff up. And what happened a lot with this, I didn't have access to these programs at that time, but a lot of this was all like files sent to each other. Like I'll add this stem to this, and I'll add this to this, and then and I would just like listen to stuff and try to practice things or come up with my things. And Jim would send me music, so it's a collaborative effort as far as that goes, especially with the horn stuff. But Colin comes up with a lot of the bare bones stuff, and then he and Dave write their own lyrics to their songs, whatever songs they decide to pick. Sometimes it's a big trade-off back and forth. They both sing on it. I sing a ton of backup vocals on this record, and I'm really excited that I got to do more of that because I like being in the studio.
Yeah,
I'm happy as a clam, like just trying to build a song. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys work with Bill Stevenson again on this record. We'll be back to working with him.
Oh my God, yeah. It's the 4th time that we've worked with them, and it makes all the difference. It really does. There's just a vibe, and they're so enclosed. Everything is there. The studio's there. There's a kitchen. There's a shower. There's bunks for people to stay and a lounge area and all this. You know what I mean? You go out and get food or whatever, but you don't have to leave, and it keeps everybody's mind, I think, in the same spot, and really just I don't know. You get more of a cohesive like sort of vibe.
Yeah,
have everybody like this camping out here. We're all.
How'd you get connected with Mike and Bad Time Records?
Well, we've been playing shows with those guys and some of their bands quite a bit over the last couple of years. And then right before COVID happened too, we were, becoming friends with Catbite and doing some shows with Kill Lincoln. And then after, they let us play shows again, we did some touring with Catbite, and they're just really cool folks. And more and more, we just started to recognize that there's this younger group of people who are keeping this really alive in so many different ways. And not that it was dead or whatever, but you need that. It was there was an era where like we roll through town, like who are we going to play with? I don't know who's in town anymore. Like who still is a band. Especially the older we get, some friends fall by the wayside. They just don't have time for it anymore for whatever reason. And so it's good to make younger friends. Helps bring us old guys a little I don't know, cred or whatever. I don't know, keeps us in the loop. But they're rad. They're good people. Mike is a sweetheart, and it's been nothing but a good experience, because it's like we don't really need to be on a label.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, like even I think Bill was like, you don't need to be on a label. Just take all your money. Like it's not really about that.
Yeah.
And Mike and the gang they're fair people, so it's not a big deal. But I think they know how to promote records. They know. I think they have a good plan of how they're doing releases and hyping things up, and that's nice to have. I mean, because we can do some of that on our own, but to have that little extra extension of pushing the product out there and getting it in people's hands, that's pretty vital these days.
Yeah. It seems like the scene, I think across genres, like every scene seems to be back or have its like own insulated world. And I think that's helped by like, you can get on Facebook and like, I love skanking all the time as a Facebook group, and like, or like you can be on Spotify or Bandcamp and there's playlists, so you can just discover new music all the time. And like, if you like it, it's there for you. And so like, if that's what you're into, it's in your face all the time. And so like every scene is kind of vibrant because people care about keep it alive in new ways. And it's not just like, message boards and calling people across the country. Right.
Yeah. And I think there's a huge respect too for amongst all the bands. I'm almost bummed out that we're not playing the Supernova ska thing on the East Coast next month, because that was a fun show that we did a couple of years ago. And it was just neat to see everybody all collectively hanging out. So yeah, it's still a very insular scene, even if it, no matter how far and wide it's spread or who gets big, who doesn't. Well, none of that crap matters. It's just like, here we all are. Yeah. And that's something to be said about that. I think there is a real camaraderie that I notice. Bands, they're not like sitting backstage, twiddling on their phones. They're out on the side of the stage watching their friends' bands and having a good time. I don't know. Yeah. Why else do you do it?
Yeah. The album's called Where Did All My Friends Go? Where did the title come from?
So, and I don't know the exact origins of some of Dave's stories.
Okay.
But like you said, a lot of it was about COVID, sort of the wasteland of being kind of trapped or isolated and not really being able to hang out with your buddies. Like we didn't even see each other for probably physically for like 6 or 8 months. Like, I remember dropping some stuff off on Jim's porch, and he's just like waving at me through the. Here's a box of stuff. Got my mask on.
Yeah.
So we all play by the rules. It's all fun, but there was, I think that was a transformative time for all of us at our age, and or what any age really, but not being allowed to play music after playing music for so long, you're just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And, I think that's really what it was about. It was like, there are definitely times where there was no traffic. Like, I'm driving to work and there's like 6 other cars on the road. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
The Specials Ghost Town is playing in my car. I'm like, yes. Yeah. Connecting this right now, but yeah, I think that's kind of where it came from. And the concept for the cover was just this kind of like, we wanted this sort of faceless thing. Like, we didn't want our faces in the pictures or anything like that. So it's just kind of cover things up and wrap Dave's face in duct tape. Yeah.
So funny. You guys released a video for Fall Apart, the first single from the record. How has like I mean, promotion has changed so much over music for music in your time as a band, and especially like since 2014 when you last released a record. Like, is that just something you put in Mike's hand, and just like the importance of like, hey, you got to have a music video now because YouTube is such a graphic? And
I think we're fairly aware of having the kind of content and the kind of like social media presence that keeps you relevant or keeps you in the loop. And for the most part, like we control a lot of that stuff. There's a couple guys in the group that do most of it. But we liked the way that we were watching the Bad Time bands put things out, in the kind of way that they were releasing things a month or two before the record came out to kind of hype things up. And I think you almost have to do that. This is the way that people purchase things. If they want to buy a physical copy of your record, it's almost easier to get them to pre-order it before it even comes out. It's that sort of, vinyl variants and making things a little more exclusive, so that there's this need to, I think I gotta have that,
Yeah.
Sure, you can listen to it on Spotify or you can download it or whatever. And, however people buy music. I mean, I still go to the stores and buy CDs and vinyl, and I'm old. So
I still collect tapes, so
it takes some adapting to, for us too as older guys. But the video thing I think is fun because we haven't really like felt like videos were that relevant for a long time. But I think now it's such an easy thing to wrap someone into. I mean, we're on YouTube all day long, like and it just I think it's fun. I got to skateboard in a video. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, bring weird stuff. Just, what happens. I'm like, I don't know about weird, but I'll ride my skateboard. He's like, all right, can you ride it with your trumpet in your hand? I'm like, sure. Try not to fall down. But nice. I think it's cool. And I'm stoked to kind of, I think this is a fun way, even to release things as singles too. I think Dave sent us a text and said that it got like over 20,000 plays on Spotify already. So nice. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it sounds all right.
Yeah.
I'm happy. There's like that video's got like over 5,000 views too. So it's
nice.
fun.
Nice. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I get the Bad Time emails, like vinyl variants are selling out. Like vinyl seems to be doing well. That's gotta feel good because like music is such like, I don't know, people like to have tactile things to hold on to, but it's also so many people could just like listen to 30 seconds on Spotify and be like, whatever.
Right.
It's got to feel good to see those vinyl variants going.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of having this piece of art that you can hold. And I'm the kind of kid that like poured over like all the details. I want to know like the lyrics. I want to know who wrote the song. I want to know who produced it. I want to read your thank yous, that kind of thing. And when we were trying to come up with the artwork for this too, they were talking about, having a sleeve thing or whatever, or like a booklet. And I'm like, let's just do a gatefold. Like, that sounds good. Like, everybody's like, yeah, gatefold. Of course, gatefold. Like, it's gorgeous. Like, I just love that. It's cool that vinyl in general, like, has really become huge again in the last decade. So, it's a different generation of buyers. But I love, Colin and I do a lot of that. Like, we'll get to the town, where's the closest record store? Or him and Mark too. Mark, our sax player, is a record nut. So it's always fun to hunt around,
I enjoy it, but I liked it when less people bought vinyl and vinyl was cheaper for me to buy.
Yeah. It's definitely, like everything's crazy priced, but for sure. It's weird sometimes when they're like $30 for this. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta have it.
Yeah. Right. The record's out September 8th, and then you guys are touring your asses off for the rest of the year.
We are pretty busy.
Yeah. You're excited to hit the road?
I am. Yeah. I don't know if my chef is all that stoked about it, but it's like, so I'm the head prep chef. So I'm the day guy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. And I've worked myself into a wonderful little niche of like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I don't work weekends. I don't really line cook unless somebody needs a day off and maybe I want some extra money, but
nice.
Yeah, but they miss me when I'm gone. For sure. Like, damn, we had to prep so much. Like, yeah, my job is not as cush as you guys think it is.
Yeah. I was excited to see you guys go be in DC in December.
Yeah. Yep. I'm stoked. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned. Like the Toasters are going to come in, and 2:30 are coming in to play our CD release or album release shows. And then that fun thing out west with Big D and Mata Mosca, that's going to be fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is, we're doing some Slackers dates too. Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to get back playing music.
Yeah.
It's fun to be at home and it's nice to have most of the summer off. We did a 4-day weekend in Canada, basically just to play one big festival. But, this is the time of year you get to just hang out with fam and, school's starting in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. I'm like, already. So enjoy it while I can. And then I'm going to be gone a lot. So
yeah.
Hopefully these kids don't hate me too much. I mean, the fortunate part of technology these days is it's easy to just FaceTime or whatever, get a hold of them real quick. And yeah. And they're tech savvy. Even the 3-year-old is like, on your phone. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my wife went to London last year and it was like every day you just talk to the kids online. And I was like, when my parents left, we'd be like, well, we'll hopefully see you in 10 days.
Yeah. Right. It's a little bit easier these days.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a